Welcome to the liberating river where spiritual freedom meets soul aligned wealth. I'm Wanda.
It is like you froze in time. They remember your mistakes, so they don't see your growth. They remember your old fears, so they don't see your new courage. They remember the role you played, so they unconsciously or consciously, I'm gonna say it that way. They either unconsciously or consciously call you back into their old version every time you all gather. That is why some people feel like they regress around family. You know the ones that talk about, oh, I don't want to go home for the holidays. I don't want to go to the cookout. I don't want to go for that dinner, that whatever, that social gathering of the family. Why? Because they suddenly feel like they are imprisoned. And it's hard to stay there. They become that little girl trying not to disappoint anyone. They become that teenage boy trying not to be seen as weak. They are the responsible one. They are that invisible middle child. They are the one who always helps, the one who never asks, the one who absorbs the tension, the one who must explain themselves. And what happens when they leave? They feel exhausted, confused, and guilty. Have you heard people say that? Have any of your friends said it to you? Oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I need to take a nap. I need to go to sleep. Not because they're immature, but because the old box still has hooks. Family boxes often come with emotional hooks. You know what those hooks are? Guilt, obligation, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being called selfish, fear of breaking tradition, fear of outgrowing people. You can outgrow your family. Did you know that? I've heard and I've talked to people who have family members, right? And they're like, yeah, I know they're my cousin, but we don't relate. And just because you're my family, it doesn't mean that I need to be buddy buddy with you. We're family. I see you, I acknowledge you, I talk to you. Why isn't that good enough? Why do I have to be your buddy buddy? You're on one track, I'm on another. Because the realistic side of this is, if think about this. If your cousin is doing something, and I'm not talking about anything bad. I'm just saying that they're living their life. They're going their trajectory. They're going on their journey, right? And there's this expectation set that, oh, you got to stay close, close, close to family, right? But the problem is, if their journey is different from yours, and now you have no intersection place anymore because you can't relate, why are you going to force that relationship? I don't care if it is family. Why are you forcing it? Do you really think that's healthy? I know you're my cousin. If I see you, if we're in the same proximity, sure, I will talk with you. But if we can't relate, we can't relate anymore. And it's okay. But we have been taught that the box of family, you can't think outside of that box. We have been taught that. And that stifles people. And that causes people to really pull away. And now you really calling people, why you acting weird? Why you acting funny? And sometimes love itself becomes tangled with that hook. So, you know what happens? We start believing, if I love them, I must stay in this role. If I love them, I must carry this. If I love them, I must not become too different. If I love them, I must not make them uncomfortable. What about this? If I love them, I must not tell the truth about how this is affecting me. But love and self erasure are not the same thing. Love and emotional captivity are not the same thing. Honor and obedience to dysfunction are not the same thing. Respect and silence are not the same thing. You can love your family and still become whole. You can appreciate where you come from and still refuse to be limited by it. You can carry the wisdom without carrying the wound. That is the distinction. Carry the wisdom. Do not carry the wound as identity, because some of what we call family legacy is actually unresolved pain with a nice frame around it. Some of what we call how our family does things is actually generational fear. Some of what we call loyalty is actually a fear of being different. What we call humility is actually inherited smallness. And if we are going to build lives that are aligned, spiritually grounded, emotionally mature, and financially free, we have to tell the truth about what we inherited, not to blame it, but to choose. Because what remains unconscious becomes a script we live by. What becomes conscious becomes a choice we live by. That is where freedom begins. Now, woo! Let's take a moment and breathe. Breathe in, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 7 seconds. Do it again. Breathe in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 7 seconds. If you gotta do it a third time, do it a third time. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, let's talk about cultural expectations. Culture is so unique. It is powerful because just like family, it gives us belonging. It gives us language. It gives us rhythm. Think about it. Culture gives us food, music, stories, humor, memories, values, connection. Culture can be beautiful. Culture can be grounding. Culture gives us roots. But culture can also become a box when belonging requires self abandonment. Every culture has spoken and unspoken rules, rules about success, about respect, about family, about money, education, gender, marriage, even about aging. Who gets rest? Who gets to leave? And often we absorb those rules before we realize they're rules. We simply think, oh, this is what people like us do. People like me get a stable job. The question is, what type of job? Blue or white collar? People like me do not take risks. People like me do not talk about money or entrepreneurship. People like me do not get divorced. People like me do not leave relationships. People like me do not question religion. People like me do not become visible online. We definitely do not build wealth. We do not write books. We do not start over. We do not have multiple callings. We do not take up space. And then one day something inside of us starts pushing against that. Not because we hate where we come from, but because the soul knows when belonging has become confinement. You don't believe me? Why do you think it bothers you so much? Why do you think you hold that conversation in your mind? You don't have to tell anybody, but you hold it in your mind. And you play it off as as if you're overthinking. Mm, you are not overthinking. And the question is, what are you overthinking? How about we go there? If you want to say you overthink, what are you overthinking? The truth of the matter is, your brain in this 3D world and your spirit man, your spirit being is holding a conversation. Your spirit, your soul, you know what it's saying? It understands and sees things and recognizes things faster than your brain can. That is why many spiritual leaders are encouraging the inner knowing. We are both physical and spiritual. We have focused more on our physical, our 3D disposition, rather than tapping into the God-like being we really are. That we're going to walk on very tenderly. Because if we leaned more on our spirit being, our perspective would change for a lot of things. Our our approach to life and to things would change. The releasing and removing of the box would not feel like betrayal. That conflict that causes you to ask, am I dishonoring my people? Am I abandoning my roots? Am I becoming arrogant? Uh, am I forgetting where I come from? You wouldn't be asking those questions. You wouldn't be contemplating whether or not you're sacrificing. You would not be asking those questions about, am I rejecting the sacrifices that have been made for my life that made it possible? Even though those are serious questions, that has nothing to do with you evolving. And I'm going to say this, and if you can understand it, you will understand it. The highest expression of legacy is not repetition. The highest expression of legacy is expansion. Sit with that. Sit with that right there. Did you hear what I said? The highest expression of legacy is not repetition. The highest expression of legacy is expansion. Can you run with this now? It's like the baton. Somebody passes you the baton. Are you going to let it stay the same? Or are you going to help it to evolve and grow? I'm gonna even do this, and hopefully you will see it even you will even see it in a different light, right? Talking about expansion. God even emulated this system. He sure did. And you know what? I'm gonna say it this way. I'm paraphrasing, so don't get all. I'm paraphrasing. So watch this. God said, "I made you in my image and likeness. Now stand in your authority. Live and spread love." That is expansion. And unfortunately, many of us have distorted this message. We have. We created boxes and we sealed the box with judgment. We become judgmental. If someone sacrificed so you could have more options, then using those options is not betrayal. If someone endured limitations so you could have freedom, then living freely is not dishonor. If someone survived so you could thrive, then shrinking yourself to prove loyalty does not honor their sacrifice. Sometimes we confuse honoring the past with recreating it. But maybe honoring the past means transforming what the past could not heal. Maybe honoring the past means becoming the first person in your lineage to make a different choice. Maybe honoring the past means taking the wisdom, but leaving the fear and building something wider, something higher, because culture should be a root, not a cage. Roots nourish, cages confine. Roots remind you of where you've come from. Cages punish you for becoming more. Roots connect you to history. Cages demand that history become your ceiling. It becomes your cap. And that is where discernment matters. You do not have to reject everything to be free. You do not have to throw away your culture to become yourself. Stay tuned. To be continued. Coming next week.